What's up, guys? I'm DK Wrestler, and in today's video, it's going to be another Funko Tier Maker ranking video. And of course, you know exactly what we're ranking today because of the title of this video. But for this, I actually have a special guest for this video, and it's not my co-host MD Shady. So I might as well let my special guest introduce themselves and explain a little more what's happening with this video today.
What's poppin', guys? Welcome to the channel. My name's Harry from whatsPOPpincraze. I don't know if you guys have ever seen any of my videos before, but it is an absolute pleasure to be here today with DK Wrestler. We're going to be going through all 50 Funko Pop digital sets that have released since the very beginning. We're going to be ranking them on Tiermaker. The fun part about this is him and myself do have a different taste on these, but we're going to come to an agreement on where these will go on this list. So let's go and get this one started.
All right, so now we are on the Tiermaker website, and the categories from worst to best of how we're ranking these today are Burn It, Could Have Been Better, Acceptable, and then the top two tiers being Legendary and Grails, like some of the redeemables for the Funko NFT sets. And Harry, are you ready for this?
We are ready. Let's do it. Thank you so much for having me here today. I appreciate it.
No worries. So we're going to kick off with obviously the set that started it all, TMNT Series 1. And I think in my opinion, I think it's at least acceptable. I don't think it's necessarily like in the top tiers, but I don't think it's obviously the bottom tiers either. I think some of the redeemables were really cool, like the Blacklight Bebop and then the Skater Freddy. And I do like the Grail, but I feel like it was better how it was in the glam shot than it actually turned out.
I feel like the set is definitely at least an acceptable as well. Before I saw them in hand, I thought they were okay. Once I saw them in person, they look so much better. You know, the Shredder, for example, his shine on is just incredible. Leonardo looks cool, even though it kind of looks like a fruit roll-up.
That's exactly what I thought.
I kind of want to say Legendary just because of the fact, like, it's the first set and, you know, it started it all. They look pretty good as a whole.
I can agree with Legendary, but when we rank these, and normally I do them no specific order, but I think in this case we should do it specific order, it will be like near the end of Legendary, almost going into Acceptable.
Yeah, that works.
That.
Yeah,
all right,
let's do
boom.
That.
Kick it off strong. Next set that released was the Bob's Big Boy Series 1 set. Small set with only 3 redeemables, but it was still a pretty decent set, especially I always like mentioning about how the burger kind of looks like something that Funko would use later on for a potential McDonald's foodies for a Big Mac, in my opinion. I think it's still a pretty cool small set, but in this case, I don't know, do I put it on Legendary or Acceptable, as I was going to say, considering it is only a 3-pop set?
I was not a fan of that set. You know, I get it because Big Boy started it all, and you know, we have so many different Big Boy pops out there already. I wasn't a fan of the royalty. The Grail was cool because it was a little different than what we usually see, and I do like the burger. I don't have any of these in my collection, so for me personally, I would say could have been better. Maybe we could put in the end of Acceptable.
Yeah, I know I was gonna put in an Acceptable, but I wasn't sure about could have, like, it's one of those cases again, we'll put it in Acceptable, but it's like when we rank these more, it'll be like the end of Acceptable, almost falling into Could Have Been Better. Then we got ourselves the Iron Maiden Series 1 set, and I think this is also an acceptable set for the fact of like the one pop being 666 pieces, the lowest Grail we've gotten to this day, and even that Freddy Funko is straight up fire. I guess no pun intended or pun intended for this because the pop is completely on fire. I think it is acceptable, and maybe it goes in front of Big Boy because of the low piece count for the Grail and how awesome the Freddy Funko is.
So I agree. I do like the Grail a lot. It looks cool. I'm not a fan of the band, but the fact that it's so low in edition size, and if I'm not mistaken, I think there's another pop that's pretty much identical to it, just a different mold, so it's not like something that's like super special. But the royalty is just fantastic. Actually, one of my favorite royalties from all the NFT sets. I'd put it in Acceptable and definitely above Big Boy.
Then we got ourselves the Funko Halloween Series 2021 set, also a 3-pop set. We had the Freddy Funko as Devil, and then there was the Skeleton and Vampire, which later became, or around the same time, it was a Funko Soda with the Common and the Chase. And then this was one of 2 sets we're talking about today that has a Funko Soda as a part of the set. So I think for that, it could go under Legendary for the fact that people love Freddy Funko Pops, and also the fact of having a soda as a part of the NFTs, which is super rare.
Yeah, so I absolutely love this set. I think it was a great set to bring out a full Freddy. I love the fact that it's something that Funko didn't need a license for. It's just their own characters and they nailed it really well. I love that they had a Funko soda incorporated. As you said, it was the first one they did. Now, my only thing is they did the skeleton blacklight for Fright Night, which they reused the mold. And then the Devil Freddy, I think it's cool, but it could have been something way better than that. I love the vampire, and I also love the skeleton and the mummy soda. I think it's a good legendary set.
Does it go in front or behind TMNT though? That is the question.
That's tough. That's a really hard choice for me, but I think I gotta put it in front of TMNT personally.
I was thinking the same thing. Next up, we have the Star Trek Series 1 set. I mean, recently we did hear about the upcoming Star Trek The Next Generation set, so I'm not sure if that's Series 2 that's going to happen or that's just a Series 1 for that. But I think this one's could have been better just because a lot of it was the Star Trek pops that we had gotten that year for the regular release, but this time you're slapping blacklight. I guess in this case, without even realizing, this was truly the first specification wave of Funko NFTs.
See, for me, I'm just over blacklight. When they did the first Marvel ones, I was like obsessed. I had to have them all. Now they're just doing over the top of blacklight. I actually didn't even purchase any packs for this drop, and I think the fact that they're all pops that we've seen before, and it's just blacklight paint, I would burn it personally. I don't like the set at all. I have the Freddy Funko because I have all the Freddy NFTs. But for the most part, I just did not like this set. I think it's actually one of my least favorites they've done.
Okay, so I'll put it under burn it just for you. It's one of those, it's starting off burn it, but it could be the end of could have been better. Next set is actually the final one from 2021. It is the Bob Ross Series 1 set. This one is easily either it could have been better or acceptable. I mean, for the most, two of the pops are exactly the same molding, except one was basically like a partially do-it-yourself pop. And then I think the highlight really was the Freddy Funko. I think they could have done it easily with just 3 pops. They didn't need to have 4 pops in this set.
This is another set I did not really participate in. I do have the Freddy once again. I think just like you said, the Grail and Legendary were the exact same piece, except one was do-it-yourself with the paint on it, while the other one was actually full-on painted. I felt like that was absolutely lazy. And then the Freddy was literally the savior of the set. I'd probably say burn it on my end.
Okay, so you're saying burn it. I was kind of saying acceptable. So what about in the middle at could have been better? It'll be the first pop that kicks that off.
Yeah, let's do it. That's fine.
All right.
I'll let you do that.
So now we're kicking off the 2022 sets. First off being Retro Comics Series 1. I liked the concept of it, but I just felt, it felt more like Popeye Series 1 than Retro Comics. I would have loved to seen this set maybe have like less of the Popeye, and then you have like, you could have kept the Flash Gordon, but add like, when I think of Retro Comics, I think of Archie comics, which they did do like regular pops for, and then like they could have done the first ever Richie Rich Funko Pop. So those are kind of like the retro comics I think of rather than just Popeye. If it was just Popeye Series 1, this could have been an acceptable one, or at least high up in acceptable, but this is either lower in acceptable or maybe right before Bob Ross and could have been better.
Yeah, so I definitely agree. I don't know why they called it Retro Comics when majority of the cards in the set were even Popeye related. And you know, I love the redeemables in the set, don't get me wrong, because I do like Popeye a lot. I just wish I had a little more variety based off of the theme that they called the set Retro Comics. I'd say it's good for acceptable though. I do like the whole set. I think they all look really good together, and I'd put it between Iron Maiden and Big Boy.
I was thinking the same thing, right in between there. Yeah. I do like it better than Big Boy. Then we got ourselves Nickelodeon Series 1, and I honestly think this should be the first one we put under Grail. Just a phenomenal set with obviously a mixture of different Nickelodeon licenses. You did have a couple of the Rugrats pops. You also have the first Danny Phantom pops that weren't that New York Comic Con exclusive, which had people going nuts for. And then you had the Hey Arnold pop, which I thought was all right, but the royalty of Slimed Freddy Funko still to this day is my absolute favorite royalty, and this is a set that I wish I jumped on as the first set that I jumped on for Funko NFTs.
I'm right there with you. This would be absolutely Grail for me. I love Nickelodeon. This is such a great set overall, mixture of characters. My only complaint with this set personally was the Vlad when they did not get that hair streak on the physical pop. I was so bummed out. I was like, how did you mess that up? Yet they have it on the box, but you know what? It's not going to ruin it for me. I still love the set.
Next set is the the Transformers Series 1 set, and I think for the most part, the redeemables were really awesome as terms to detail. I mean, I'm not entirely the biggest Transformers fan, but I remember even seeing like secondary market value on Atomic Hub, a lot of these being like ridiculously high, and I believe like a lot of them sold for pretty high on the secondary market once it was in hand with the physical item. For that, it could be under a legendary just for those stats. I don't know what you have to say about that.
I would also say legendary for this set, and I'd probably have them in the middle. I think I like it more than TMNT, believe it or not. I just feel like they all look so good together as a set. Whereas the TMNT, you know, it was a cool set, but I feel like it's not necessarily a must to have them all. Whereas this set, if you're a fan of Transformers, you're gonna want them all.
Next set we have is the Scooby-Doo Series 1 set, and I'm not gonna lie, I think this should also be Grail, but it depends on, do we put it in front or behind Nickelodeon Series 1? This also is a set I should mention. It's the other set that has a Funko Soda in it, and we have not seen Funko Sodas in Funko NFTs since. I do think it's Grail contender because a lot of them are brand new characters, besides obviously the Grail being just another Scooby-Doo, which that's perfectly okay for the sake of a Grail.
I agree right there. This is perfect Grail. I do not think it beats Nickelodeon though, but I love the fact, like you said, different characters, villains specifically, because Scooby-Doo has so many different villains. The one thing I wish they did with the set, I wish it started off with like the Flock exclusive with the Snow Ghost. That would have been a perfect Flock pop.
Next set is the DC Series 1 set, and I think it's at least acceptable. I don't think it's up there with Legendary and Grail because we've gotten so many Batmans. There's like 3 in this set, I believe, with the Grail and the Royalty and one of the Legendaries. And I think there was like a variant of Superman and Flash. So I think it's acceptable for like those different versions of like popular DC characters, but I just don't think they have like a sought after kind of feeling like some of the redeemables we see in those Legendary categories.
Yeah, for me, DC, I'm not even a big DC guy, to be honest. So I like the set. They were cool, but they're nowhere near some of these that we went over earlier. I would probably put them in like acceptable. I'd say between Iron Maiden and Retro Comics.
Yeah, that works. Next up is the Kellogg's Series 1 set. A set that was another one that I almost went into as my first Funko NFT set to go into. I wish I did, because Tony the Tiger Jr. was awesome. Cornelius was awesome at the time until they decided to make a common one that kind of is slightly better, not gonna lie. But a lot of these, they did a cool like retro cereal box mascots. And then I think what's kind of the lackluster pop of the set is the Royalty. I felt like they could have went with something different than Dig 'em Frog for Freddy Funko, but I still think it should be in that upper echelon of like Legendary because it's such a great ad icon set, and we haven't gotten an ad icon set since, and I would love for them to make another one at some point.
So I agree, it's a pretty cool set. I absolutely loved Cornelius before, as you mentioned, the comment came out. I feel like the Freddy should have been like Tony the Tiger or Toucan Sam. I would say either the first on acceptable or the last on Legendary for this one. I personally would put first acceptable, but I know you want to put in Legendary, so.
Yeah, I definitely think it, because personally, I would probably put it even in front of the Halloween set and kicking off Legendary, but at the same time, like at least it's in Legendary, so I'll accept it being behind the very first set of Funko NFTs. Next up is My Little Pony Series 1, that set that kind of has a half and half divide in the Funko NFT community, where it's like, why did they make this? But at the same time, it seems cool. At the same time, it does seem like a licensor that should be in this, because I don't know how many people would buy it when it's on a shelf at like a Hot Topic or a GameStop. So I don't know where to put this. Like, I could say personally, like, I could have been better or burn it, because I personally don't like My Little Pony, but I actually do like the Royalty, Freddy Funko Spike. I think that was pretty cool from that set. So it could be an acceptable, like, near the end or kicking off could have been better. It doesn't matter to me.
Just like you, I'm not a fan of My Little Pony, obviously, but I'm not gonna lie, the redeemables, they look good. They had some nice designs on them, and the Freddy was fun. Probably put them in acceptable.
Yeah, you know what? I could put them before Big Boy, in between Retro Comic, because there's more redeemables. for the set rather than the big boy. And really the only thing in my opinion that has it for big boy is that burger. Next up is the Hanna-Barbera Series 1 set. This was all right. I felt like my opinion about this set is almost like Retro Comics, where it almost felt like it's a Jetsons Series 1 rather than Hanna-Barbera, because I believe there was 5 pops, 3 of them were Jetsons, and then you had the Huckleberry Hound that was in there, but then also I think the highlight in my opinion was the Freddy Funko Space Ghost. I believe that was the royalty.
Yeah.
So I feel like it could have been better for the sake that they could have added different licensors rather than just mostly Jetsons to this, but it's still a good set for the sake that Hanna-Barbera is popular as it is.
It definitely could have been way better being the first Hanna-Barbera. There's so many characters they haven't done, but I kind of want to put it under could have been better just because I personally could have thought of way better choices to put in the set. But I do like the set more than some of the ones we have on Acceptable.
Yeah, I feel the same thing. It's definitely better than that Bob Ross and could have been better, so it'd kick off. Is it in front or behind Retro Comics? That's kind of where I'm thinking of. Like right in the middle of Acceptable.
So this is my opinion. I kind of like Retro Comics better because those are all pops we've never seen before. Different characters. These, though, we've seen 3 of them as pops in the past. So I think this was a great opportunity for them to bring a Hanna-Barbera Series 1 with some popular characters that have yet to be done. So
yeah, so they can right there, right in between.
Yeah. That works, yeah.
Then we have the Jay and Silent Bob Series 1 set. This set was not too bad. Like, there's 3 pops in this set. The Grail was the chase of the soda that they did for Silent Bob. I really like the royalty. I like how they did a movie's worker.
I did not like this set at all, but I kind of want to say I like Bob's Big Boy set better than this one. And I kind of put it under could have been better.
I think, yeah, end of Acceptable, because I think this is as good it's gonna get. I don't think it's like they could have done anything better, but it could have been a lot worse. So I will put it behind Bob's Big Boy and Acceptable.
I agree.
Then we got Avatar Legends Series 1. This was, from what I remember, a highly sought after set. People were going nuts over that Fire Nation and Grail. I loved the Painted Lady. That was a really cool molding. I haven't really seen much of Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra that this was based off of, but I still think that this was a pretty decent set, almost to where it could be high up in Acceptable, or it could very well maybe be near the end of Legendary. Like, it's in that range.
So here's where we're completely different opinion, because I'm a huge Nickelodeon guy and I love Avatar, so this kind of has a special place for me. I loved how all the redeemables are characters we have never seen as pops, except for Aang, but this was like a whole different Aang. I would probably say Legendary for me, just because I could say some things that could have been better in the set to prevent it from actually being a Grail set. I would have it right between the Turtles and Transformers, in my opinion. I kind of like it more than Transformers.
Yeah.
But I know you probably don't.
Overall, as a set, I'll put it in between right there, because I do like the Transformer set as a whole more than Avatar Legends, where there is that kind of feeling of like, you might not need all of them because you might just want Avatar The Last Airbender and not Legend of Korra per se. Then we got Power Rangers Series 1. Now this was a really cool set. Obviously we see new pops like Zordon, that was kind of the fan favorite, Scorpina, Ranger Slayer until they made a previous exclusive version of it. But then you also had the Green Ranger that was really cool and ended up shooting in price after the unfortunate passing of Jason David Frank. And then there was the Red Ranger, I believe, from that set. And I think that's all, besides also that really awesome royalty of Freddy Funko Megazord. That is easily, like, in my opinion, as far as I can think of off the top of my head, it's got to be up there in like a top 5 best royalty pops.
Yeah, I think it's a really good set overall too. I absolutely love the Zordon and Freddy as Megazord. I would say it's a good Legendary set, or right in the front of Acceptable. So somewhere around there. Yeah,
for right now, I will put it under Acceptable at the beginning. I do like it better than Iron Maiden, although we have been talking about that 666 piece, but you have way more redeemables to go after than Iron Maiden, which there's only 3. Next up is DC Series 2, which this has a soft place in my heart because this is the first set I went into for Funko NFTs. And for this one, I don't think it's as good as Series 1. This is the thing where we may put it under could have been better as the beginning or right at the end of acceptable. I think it's one of those two.
Definitely did not like this one other than a Freddy. I just felt like overall it was like such a lackluster set compared to DC1. I would personally burn it, and I know you're probably gonna think I'm crazy for that, but I'd say either that or could have been better, because I do like it more than Bob Ross. So since we have that and could have been better, it wouldn't really make sense to have this one and burn it.
Yeah, I was even thinking, yeah, like I mentioned, either at the end of acceptable, so right behind Jay and Silent Bob, or it's kicking off could have been better, and it's better than Bob, which for some reason this isn't working. There we go. Switch it over like that. I would accept that right there, right at the beginning.
I think that's perfect.
Better. Looney Tunes Series 1, Chef's Kiss right there. Like, it's such a great set. Even though we've seen Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner before as Funko Shop exclusives, I think these pops are actually slightly better than those, especially the Roadrunner with like the circle feet motion right there. And then you have the first Yosemite Sam, the first Foghorn Leghorn.
So this one is absolutely one of my all-time favorite sets they did. It was actually my first set where I went crazy on it. Ripped a ton of packs. I got so many redeemables in hand. I put it under Grail for sure. I kind of want to like put it as my #1 favorite.
Yeah, like I was thinking at the beginning, because overall, even with pops that we have seen of characters, they did them better here than the normal versions. While with Nickelodeon, I mean, we have gotten Chucky and Tommy's, and then we have the first Danny Phantom pops that isn't Danny Phantom himself. Obviously, the slimed Freddy Funko is great, but with this set, you have a set of pops that are essentially better than what they were normally, and then especially with new characters added to it. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, and it's really tough. It's such a good evened out set. So I'd say just put it in front, because you think it's overall better, and for me it's pretty much evened out.
Next up is Game of Thrones Series 1. I know this is a set that you personally like. I've seen a couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. For me, when it comes to the set, it's the fact that because I don't know too much about Game of Thrones, it just feels like, what could they do for Game of Thrones when you already have the massive set that they have, to the point to where it's not even the television lineup, it's in its own pop Game of Thrones lineup. So there's some that I feel like are meh, so it could be like an acceptable set.
As a fan of Game of Thrones, even though I love this set, I would easily put it under acceptable, just because these all had pops before, and some of them are so close to actual original pops. It's up to you where you want to put it on the list.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere middle. It's just depending, do I want to put it in front or behind DC? Yeah, maybe like
we could
behind...
do right between DC and retro.
You're more of a fan of Game of Thrones and want to see this as high as possible, so I can put it in between Iron Maiden and DC. So it's at least decently high.
That works. Yeah, that's a good spot.
Funko Halloween Series 2022. I think this is honestly a grail set. I think it was so much better than what we got for the years prior. Not saying the year prior was bad, because obviously it's in the legendary section, but the way that they executed all the different pops, like Space Zombie Freddy was a personal favorite of mine, the Phantom of the Opera Freddy, the Reaper Freddy, all of those just ended up skyrocketing, both either if you had the card, the redemption token, or the pops on the secondary market. Even Jack-o'-lantern Freddy as the royalty was cool. I think overall this was such a banger set, and like, for the sake of, I don't really have any bad things to say about this set, which is why I would personally put it under Grail.
Yeah, I'm there with you. This is another set where, like, right off the bat, no brainers. Grail set. Overall, all the pops look fantastic. Really awesome molds, great choices, and I liked it way more than the first series. I don't know if I like it more than Nickelodeon or Looney Tunes, but I think I do like it better than Scooby-Doo.
That's exactly where I was thinking. I don't think it was going to take out Nickelodeon or Looney Tunes, but I think it could take out Scooby-Doo. So taking that third spot in Grail, I would accept right there. All right, so the next set is the Warner Brothers Horror Series 1 set. And I thought this was a very interesting set. You had some cool new redeemables like the Crooked Man from Conjuring. There was overall some decent pops, whether it's characters we have seen before or it's brand new characters, and especially the Freddy Funko as Georgie, where you actually do have the detachable arm.
For me, I actually really enjoyed this one. I know we had some pops of Pennywise and the Nun in the past, but these just looked really good compared to what we've seen. So I would say under Legendary, believe it or not, which is something you're probably not going to agree with me on that.
I can say at the end, because I kind of like the Kellogg set better than Warner Brothers Horror.
Yeah, I'll let you do that.
Next up is the Matrix Series 1 set. Also a set that I thought was pretty decent, especially with the Grail emulating one of like the best movie scenes of all time of Neo just dodging the bullet. I do think it's not as good as the Warner Brothers horror, so it's somewhere in acceptable.
Yeah, I'd easily put it under acceptable. I'm not gonna lie, I've never seen the Matrix movies, which I know people are gonna kick my butt for that. I don't think it's under could have been better, because I don't think it's worse than some of the ones we already have on acceptable. So I'd probably put it above Hanna-Barbera and Retro Comics, just because those, as we mentioned, could have had some better redeemables for those, what they were called.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Then we have Elf Series 1. And this was a very fun set. I enjoyed how obviously we did have some Buddy the Elves that like we didn't, well, not that we haven't seen, but we've seen a lot of Buddy the Elves, but moments that we haven't seen yet in pop form, like eating spaghetti. And then you have new characters like Leon the Snowman, which people have been wanting for so long, and Ming Ming. And then the Freddy Funko Buddy the Elf was pretty decent. I didn't really like the Grail of Buddy with the Arctic Puffin, but overall, I think it's good enough to be somewhere in Legendary.
Yeah, see, for me, I also really like it just because I love Christmas movies. Elf is definitely one of those where you want to rewatch every year, at least for me.
Yeah,
my only complaint was with the Grail, the box size just kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
The 6-inch box. But just like you, I love how they have different characters. The Freddy Funko as Buddy was like the perfect choice because, I mean, it's Buddy the Elf. I kind of want to either put it as the first in acceptable or last in Legendary.
In Legendary, I'll accept it as the last of Legendary since we're both saying it's Legendary, but you could say that it could kick off acceptable. But I do like it because there's more newer pops than what we got for Power Rangers per se. Then we got ourselves Retro Toy Series 1, the set that ended off 2022. And this is a set that I love the idea of doing retro toys, but the redeemables they chose were a little bit questionable, like having two Mr. Potato Head Transformers when they could have done one Transformer, one Mr. Potato Head. I don't think we needed that Stretch Armstrong at all. And I think the highlight realistically was the first ever Hungry Hungry Hippo Pop. Even the redeemable of the Freddy Funko, I don't know what they officially called it, like Player Freddy Funko. That one I think could have been a little bit better. So I think once again, it's either acceptable. I don't know if I would put it as low as could have been better, although it could be like near the end of acceptable, beginning it could have been better, but I'd prefer more acceptable for a set like Retro Toys.
So for me, when I saw Retro Toys as a set, I was pretty excited. I'm like, you know, they have some pretty cool pops, but once I saw redeemables, the only one I liked was Hungry Hungry Hippo.
Yeah.
I actually think this might be the least favorite of every Freddy they've done in NFT form. As a set overall, you're gonna probably not even agree with me at all. I would burn this set. I would absolutely burn it. Just because the hippo is literally the only one I like.
So even like you think that DC Series 2 was better than Retro Toys if you want to put it under burn it. So I will accept could have been better. I don't think it's entirely a burn it. Could go in between DC and Bob Ross or before DC, somewhere around there. I don't think personally it should be a burn it.
See, it kind of depends on how we're looking at it, because DC2, we should put this one before DC2 if you agree with that.
I'm fine with putting it at the beginning. It could have been better because, like I mentioned, it is a could have been better set realistically because they could have done different ones. Then we got ourselves the first set of 2023. That is the Sid and Marty Krofft Pictures Series 1 set. It's a burn it set. Even for an NFT set, this is so niche-y. Like, it's such a niche set for a demographic that is a much older demographic that I don't even think for the most part would want to try and participate in Funko NFTs and do this kind of thing. The Grail being way less than $100 US is kind of saying something right there.
Yeah, I'm there with you. This is a set I would absolutely burn right away. And then the Seymour, when I saw it as a physical pop, I was like, you know what, that looks kind of cool. But then when we saw the actual pop in hand, it was super tiny. This is one of the sets of the few that I've completely never even bought packs for, so I'm happily burning it. And I think I like Star Trek better than this one.
I was gonna say it's like probably the worst set out of all 50 of them. Then we got ourselves Teen Titans Go Series 1. I thought this was a set that was all right. I mean, you did have some fan favorites like the Slade, that was pretty cool. I actually did really enjoy the Freddy Funko Pop, and then the Titan Robot was cool. I did personally like Red Robin. This could be like easily in there for like an acceptable.
Yeah, I also do think this is a good acceptable set, and I'd have it over My Little Pony, but I don't know if I'd say it's better than Hanna-Barbera Series 1 or not. I definitely have it under Retro Comics, but I don't know if I have it above Hanna-Barbera or right after it. So I'll let you decide that one.
I will put it in between because I do like this set. The pops more, I would probably get more pops from this set than I would the Hanna-Barbera set.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Next up is Nickelodeon Series 2, which I'll just say straightforward, it is nowhere as near as good as that Series 1. So it's not going under Grail. I honestly don't know if it should go under Legendary either, even though we did get more of a variety of different Nickelodeon shows with Rocko's Modern Life, Rugrats with Cynthia Pop and the Royalty, and then there was also Invader Zim with the Professor Membrane, and then there was one other, Winslow, I believe the name was, the first Cat Dog Pop that wasn't Cat Dog themselves. So I think I like in that aspect, but it just didn't give me that feel. I honestly would put it somewhere in acceptable. It would be a Legendary or Grail if they had went with my pitch for the Royalty, that being the first Max Token Head Pop and it being slimed.
Yeah, see, as a Nickelodeon fan, this was a cool set for me. I loved how they had different characters, but the Grail right off the bat, I was not happy with it. I'd say it's acceptable, but I don't know where I'd put it because it's tough. I like it more than all the other ones we have on acceptable, but I don't know where you would say.
No, I would agree that it's somewhere in the beginning of acceptable, even if it is the first one in acceptable, because obviously a lot of these pops we haven't gotten, like, I'll put it in the front of acceptable. So a lot of the pops we haven't gotten before. We have gotten a Rocco, I believe, or a couple of them, and people weren't really a fan of that, but like the new Winslow Pop, I don't think Membrane's been made into a pop form before, and then people really loved that Royalty. House of the Dragon Series 1, I'd put this right in front of Game of Thrones because House of the Dragon is obviously a newer set, even though more people like Game of Thrones obviously better than House of Dragon because it's just a prequel, but I feel like because the advantage of it being a newer set, there's obviously characters that like they hadn't made until obviously we did see like the chases of some of them that looked identical to some of these NFT pops. But I can even say that I loved the Royalty of the one dragon over the Jon Snow Royalty for the Game of Thrones set. So overall, I think there's an advantage of this being a newer set to where I think you can make newer pops that they hadn't done in the common set that makes it a bit better than the Game of Thrones set.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. Even though I love both shows, this set was superior than Game of Thrones. I like it more than Power Rangers, but I'll let you just keep it where you have it. Don't worry about it, it's fine.
Next up is Dungeons & Dragons Series 1, and I personally would put this set in Legendary because Funko already kills it with the regular Dungeons & Dragons pops. I think they did a great job with this set, even being only 5 pops compared to the usual 6. The only thing that I would say if it was like, let's say Grail territory, is if they made the Grail glow in the dark, considering in the actual card itself, the eyes glow, and they should have made Owlbear as a flocked pop. This is back to where we talked about it was one of the Scooby-Doo pops, the Snow Ghost, we said that should have been flocked. This Owlbear should have definitely been flocked, especially now seeing the Owlbear they did for the movie version for San Diego Comic-Con last year. Or no, not San Diego. I think it was New York they ended up doing that. But overall, there isn't really gripes unless maybe it goes towards the Freddy, in which still to this day, and maybe this will happen with like the rumored Series 2, which I'm okay with the Series 2, that if they had done Freddy Funko stuck inside of a gelatinous cube.
That's exactly what I've been hoping for. Freddy gelatinous cube. If that happens, I'm going all over it. But I've never really been a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, but I do like this set. They look really good. I'd put it under acceptable, the very first one, because it is a cool set, and I do think overall it is stronger than Nickelodeon 2. Or I'd have it, since you want it in Legendary, I'd put it in the last Legendary.
Yeah, I'll even be okay with making it the last one. Then we got Hanna-Barbera Series 2. And I think this should go somewhere side by side with Hanna-Barbera Series 1, whether it is in front or behind. It's that same problem that, once again, even though this time around, they did go into different licensors, but I think it's licensors that are really, really obscure that not a lot of people had interest in, even though I did enjoy the Birdman pop. I thought that was cool. But in this set, you technically got 2 Huckleberry Hounds when it came to the Grail, which I thought, in my opinion, I liked this Grail better than the one from Series 1. But then the Freddy Funko with the Letterman jacket holding a Huckleberry Hound.
So I actually thought this one was a lot better than Series 1 because I love the Mr. Jinx with Pixie and Dixie.
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
thought
definitely the
Birdman
highlight.
was a super awesome mold. I'd have it above Series 1. I don't know where I'd put it on the list. I kind of like this set more than Teen Titans Go, and I do think the molds are cooler than Retro Comics or about the same. It's between DC 1 and Hanna-Barbera Series 1 for me, somewhere around those.
I'll put it in front of Retro Comics. Then we got April Fool's Series 2023. This was a very interesting set, and in the current rumor mill as we're recording this, there's supposed to be a Series 2024, so that's also going to be very interesting. This could be a legendary set because all the pops are pretty decent for only being a 3-pop set. I mean, Baby Freddy with the El Diablo Wacky Wobbler is the royalty, I believe. The Egg, which was like a huge joke for April Fool's for Funko, and then the Freddy Funko holding Max Token Head. I was going to segue to the fact that it would be funny if they basically did the reverse for a potential 2024 set of Max Token Head holding Freddy Funko as the pop. But even that Grail, I thought about getting it because it involved Max Token Head, and I think at some point Max Token Head should get a Funko Pop. So I think it definitely is somewhere under legendary.
I actually really agree. I think this is a good legendary set despite it being such a small set. That Baby Freddy was just amazing. I thought it was actually one of my favorite royalties. I like it more than Kellogg's, and I like it less than Avatar.
I could say it's either in front or behind Turtles. I don't think it's necessarily better than Avatar. I'll even say, because at least I like all of the pops compared to Kellogg's, so I can accept that it'll be right in the middle here of legendary.
Yeah, that works. I think that's a good spot. Perfect.
Next up is the Flintstones Series 1. This was a pretty decent set. It made sense for Flintstones to get its own set instead of being a part of Hanna-Barbera. There's some new characters, but then obviously, like, we've seen a lot of Fred Flintstones and Barneys, and the highlight obviously was the first standalone Dino pop. I think it's somewhere unacceptable because I think it could be a little bit better to where it almost could go under legendary status, but definitely better than both Hanna-Barbera sets.
Yeah, so for me, the reason I love this set so much was the Freddy and Dino. I was so happy to see Dino standalone pop finally, and normal colors with a bone was fun touch. But I think the Grail and then Barney and Wilma could have been so much funner. It's definitely not legendary status, and like you said, it could have been if they did something else for the other 3 pop. I'd say, just like you, it's better than both Hanna-Barbera sets. It's probably, for me, like right along the lines of Hanna-Barbera Series 2. I like them both equally because that Series 2, the molds on those figures were really cool.
I'm going to put it in front of Matrix. I like this set better than Matrix because there's more pops that I do like from this set than Matrix. Matrix, the highlight was that Grail for me, realistically. The next set we have is the Dark Knight Trilogy Series 1, a set that both Harry and I ranked super high on our 2023 list, and I think it should go under Grail. It's just a matter of where is it being placed in Grail, because this is just a mega crazy great set that I kind of hope they don't do a Series 2 in a way, because I don't think it's going to top Series 1. I just don't know where to put it. Like, it's somewhere near where, like, I think it's past the Halloween and Scooby-Doo for sure. Is it going past Nickelodeon? Is it going past Looney Tunes?
See, this set is just fantastic. It's one of those sets where I knew right off the bat I need the entire collection. That Grail is top 3 Grails for me. Freddy's the only one that it's cool. I liked it, but it could have been a much better choice. And the other thing I was sad about, we didn't get a Joker in the set at all. So I'd say for sure I like Looney Tunes better as a set. I'd put this right between Looney Tunes and Nickelodeon Series 1.
Yeah. I would have to agree. Like at the end of the day, it's like the overall set with Looney Tunes. It comes down to the royalty, realistically. That's what.
Yeah.
Adventure Time Series 1. This was a pretty cool set. I think the majority of the set were new characters. I know people went crazy for Lady Raincorn. I know that started going into the hands of people as we're recording this, and it's going, at least I've seen at toy shows and stuff, going for a very high price compared to the other legendaries per se. The Grail is not too bad. It makes sense to do, like, obviously Finn the Human as something else or a different version. Part of me wants to put it somewhere in acceptable and kind of like high up in acceptable.
I actually think this is a good legendary set. Believe it or not, I've never watched Adventure Time. I've seen some episodes here and there.
Yeah, same
but the
with
reason
me.
I want to say it's a legendary set, the molds look so awesome. I've never even seen the show. I got the set in hand and I kept them because I like them so much. And if it's on the legendary list, it's probably in the end. And I like it more than D&D, but I know you love D&D a lot.
Yeah, I like the D&D set, but I think, yeah, when you're comparing about the different moldings, like realistically, when it comes to like the legendaries and grails, I would probably feel the same. So it comes down to the fact that I would prefer the royalty for Adventure Time over D&D. So it could be in front of, cause there's a part of me that likes Elf, since like you mentioned, it's a great movie that even people watch every year. I watch it every year also, so I definitely put it above Adventure Time. Then we got It Series 1. Funny enough, this is a set where I went into it with low expectations, but really exceeded them because I thought this set was just gonna be like 6 more Pennywises that we don't need. Really awesome moldings like Patrick Hockstetter. I believe you just did a video recently unboxing the set.
I did.
So I got to watch that and look over how they look, and especially my personal favorite being Leper and how amazing that Drool ended up turning out in the actual physical pop. I feel like this is a set that should be in Legendary because it started off as a set where people, I don't know if they were excited about, but then when they seen those redeemables, it was like, yeah, I need to go for this set. It exceeded expectations.
I highly agree. I mean, for me personally, I like Nickelodeon Series 2 more because I'm a huge Nickelodeon fan. But when I saw these in hand, it was insane how good they look. And they actually look better than the physicals in Nickelodeon 2, even though I like those more personally. And then I don't know if you were paying attention to like the cost of these during like token drop and all that. They were like $17, $18 legendaries, and now they're going 3 times that amount. So that shows you how people actually really like these.
Yeah, so you're mentioning you liked Series 2 and I liked it, but maybe we could do in the middle where it's the end of Legendary. That way it's like super close to Nickelodeon. But I still think it would be legendary.
I wouldn't say it's acceptable because they're all really awesome pops.
Yeah. Then we got ourselves Stranger Things Series 1. And this is one where I felt, in a way, it was the complete opposite, where there was a lot of hype going into it. And then the pops were kind of lackluster, even though the ones that they pulled off here feel like they're meant to be NFT pops because it's just them from the painting picture, and especially the dragon who had never been a pop before. It's a little bit of acceptable.
See, I actually agree with you despite my love for Stranger Things. The Dragon Grail, I'm not talking anything bad about that one because it was a beautiful pop. And then the Eddie Freddy is cool, but it's just a head swap, nothing crazy special about it.
Yeah.
I want to put it near Flintstones, but I like Flintstones more as a set.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter.
Like
it can be somewhere like here or there. I could probably say I'd rather
Let's just put it before Flintstones because I do like the Grail miles better than the other Grail.
Next up is Power Rangers Series 2, and I feel like out of all the sets that have a Series 2 after Series 1, this is a little bit of the most lackluster in my opinion. I felt that it wasn't really all that exciting, and especially there were some questionable choices. Like, I do love Freddy Funko as Ivan Ooze. Don't get me wrong, that's an amazing pop. Why didn't they do Ivan Ooze as a separate pop though, and make that maybe the Grail and make Dulcia like one of the legendaries, and maybe cut out a couple of the unmasked Power Rangers? This is could have been better in my opinion.
I actually agree. I think this is the worst Series 2 they've done. I don't even know why I ripped so many packs. I regret. They dropped under value. This is a burn it, or it could have been better last for me.
Okay, so yeah, we'll put it right at the end of could have been better right there. Next up is Steven Universe Series 1, and I did enjoy the set. I believe every single pop besides one was brand new. So I think that deserves to be a little bit high up, just like Adventure Time. I haven't really seen too many episodes. I've seen a couple, but not entire seasons and the entire series. So I do enjoy that. So in that aspect, maybe it goes in front of Adventure Time because we mentioned about them having cool molds and having a lot of new characters.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty much along the lines as Adventure Time too, but I kind of like Adventure Time a little more. There's more redeemables. I feel like it was a little more colorful, better design. So I'd say Adventure Time is a little better.
Then we have Jurassic Park Series 1. This was a really cool set. Mosquito and Amber was a really neat grail. I hope that this doesn't end up being a super tiny pop like we've seen with, like, example, Seymour Spider for Sid and Marty Krofft. We have a lot of like legendaries that are cool. The royalty also is also a royalty where if it wasn't that royalty, I felt it honestly could have been and could have been better, because what could have been better is making the royalty exactly what it is. So I think it's somewhere in acceptable.
See, this is actually one of my favorite drops of last year, and this is probably one of the ones that we completely disagree on. I love the Grail. It's one of my all-time favorite Grails they've done. Overall, I like the set. I want to throw it in Legendary for me personally.
If it's going on Legendary, it'll go behind It because the detail of the It pops are just so crazy compared to Jurassic Park for the most part.
And when we're looking at the Grail, it definitely beats a lot of the other ones from the acceptable list. So that's why I'd say this is a good Legendary set.
All right, so the next set is the Warner Brothers 100 Series 1 set. And I thought those were a pretty fun set. There were some redeemables that are a little bit questionable, like the, I think it was Lola Jane as, Lola Bunny as Jane Jetson. I was mixing up the names. And Bugs Bunny Morpheus, but the Wile E. Coyote Batman, it definitely makes sense because I noticed a lot of other collectibles having that same mashup for this set. And then I think the Roadrunner as Flash is probably one of the best mashups they've done. And I think the royalty exceeded my expectations. It could be acceptable realistically because some pops are kind of meh.
So it's not a bad set. My only problem was, we've seen mashups of Wile E. Coyote before. I think he was like Cyborg or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, the original set,
Yeah, and then we also had Taz as a Flash already, which made sense because Taz is also fast, but Roadrunner as a Flash looks cooler in my opinion. This is like one of those sets where I feel like it was not really something that I wanted to see as an NFT set. So it would have been something I would have done under like Burn It, but I know you like it.
Even if it's acceptable, kind of lower down the ranking of acceptable, so it's more towards your opinion also. But I don't think it's like, I guess it could have been better with some of them, but like overall as a set, it's definitely better than the 4 sets that are in could have been better. So yeah, maybe I would either in front or behind My Little Pony, because I can understand maybe even like the Teen Titans kind of being a little bit better than this set. This is going to go more personal, but I will put it in front of My Little Pony.
That's fine too, because even if we look at Hanna-Barbera Series 1, same thing I'm saying, like they weren't like the best choices. It could have been way better.
Next up is Back to the Future Funko Series 1. Of course, is my personal favorite set out of all these because I just cashed out for a master set. As much as I would love to put this in Grail, I don't know if it is in that upper echelon of Grail. But I do have some points to point out that I think it should at least be Legendary and maybe even kicking off Legendary, for the fact that Back to the Future, popular licensor, just recently between the cards and the redemption tokens, I believe the price doubled. And you have pretty much the set being newer characters besides, of course, Doc and Marty, which is typical because those are the main characters of Back to the Future. And then even the royalty exceeded my expectations.
All right, this one, it's a Burn It. No, I'm just kidding. I know you like, I've never seen these movies, but these pops look so cool. I mean, I kind of looked into it a little bit. George and Lorraine were never pops before, and they did a pretty good job on both of them. I'd accept you to put this on the top of Legendary, because I definitely do think as a set overall, it is better than Transformers. Which Halloween do we have there? Is it the series?
It's 2021.
1, right?
It was the first one. So better than having 3.
Because I do like that set a lot. It was one of the first ones, and obviously in the beginning they were just getting used to it, but I do think it might be better. I think it does deserve to be the first one on the Legendary list.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. And also, you mentioned about George and Lorraine never having pops. They had never actually done a George collectible figure since the 80s figure from Kenner because of little controversy. Next up is Funkoween Series 1. I know that a lot of people love this set, and especially being the very first set where every single pop is glow in the dark. I do like it better than Halloween Series 2021, but I don't like it better than Series 2022. Hate the concept of the fact that it's Freddy Funko as a zombie, as something else, instead of the way they did it with Series 2022, and then you could have done different, let's say, Universal Monsters or whatever they went with for the Series 2022. You could have easily kept Frodo as the zombie and then do Freddy Funko as something else. Then I think I probably would have put it under Grail and exceeded 2022. But for that, I can say that it's legendary, and for what I said about being better than 2021, it could go in between Back to the Future and Halloween Series 2021.
I'd say for me, it's a Grail set, but I'm okay with putting it on Legendary.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do, is right behind Back to the Future. Had it been exactly like Series 2022 with the way that I mentioned about it, I think, yeah, I would agree Grail, but because they kept that zombie theme going is what prevents it, in my opinion, from going under Grail. Next up is Powerpuff Girls Series 1, and for the most part, this was an all-right set. I mean, we did have all the Powerpuff Girls with different instruments, so it kind of is that thing of like, you might want to get all of them because it just feels awkward with one band member without the others. The Grail is pretty decent, actually, with like the actual brain showing for Mojo Jojo, and the Professor Utonium is everyone's fan favorite, I would assume, since it has no Funko Pop previously, and then the royalty is pretty cool also of Freddy Funko as Mojo Jojo. I wouldn't know exactly what they could do other than that.
I wouldn't say it's legendary. Kind of want to put it on acceptable.
Yeah,
because,
like even if it's like I kind of even like it maybe better than Power Rangers 1 a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too, but I don't think I like it more than Nickelodeon Series 2 as a whole. Yes, I'd say Nickelodeon 2 does beat it as a whole set, whereas when you look at it separately, there's some I like more in that set rather than
I'll put it right there, second in acceptable. Then we got the last set of 2023 and had a lot of people talking. Mickey Mouse and Friends Series 1, the first Funko NFT set for Disney. It was kind of lackluster. I personally want to put this under burn it because over 50% of packs got burned, and the feel of these pops feel more like I would find them on the shelves of a Hot Topic or GameStop. This shouldn't have been the first Disney NFT set.
So you know me, I'm a huge Disney fan, and I was very excited to see that they were finally doing Mickey and Friends, or even just a Disney set. When I saw Mickey and Friends, I'm like, what more can they do, really? I personally like the set, but it's nowhere near like my favorites. I wouldn't burn it, but I also do like it more than what we have on Could Have Been Better, and I like it more than some of our acceptable ones. So I'd probably put it in acceptable based off of what we have on the list, and I'd have it above like Warner Brothers.
If we're putting in an acceptable, I would put it smack dab at the end.
Yeah, because see, I don't even like some of those on the list.
Next up is Squid Game Series 1, the first set of 2024. This had a lot of people talking also, especially because we knew at this time about Harry Potter being announced, and we thought that was going to be the first. But this set, I know a lot of people, I bet like if anyone were to do this ranking list, which I should, hopefully I remember to actually put the link of this Tiermaker list in the description so that you guys could definitely try this out and tag both of us at MDK Collects and whatsPOPpincraze on social media to show us your rankings of these sets. I think most people would put under Burn It because it's a series that has lost so much hype, but I'm looking at the aspect of the redeemables are really cool for this, especially the front man who had never gotten a pop, the one legendary who I forget the name, and even if I do, I can't pronounce him correctly since it's in Korean. The antagonist player was a legendary, and then the ending of season 1 with the red hair Seong Ji-hoon, who I somehow remember the name. I would say it could have been better because what could have been better for the set is if it was released much earlier when the hype was still kind of there, than now when the hype is pretty much almost dead. I don't know, I felt like it was a little bit too late to do this. Even if it was in 2023, like near the beginning, I think it still would have even been like under acceptable, but I think it needs to be a Could Have Been Better set.
Yeah, I think for me personally also, it's not really that great of a set, and the prices on these speak for itself.
Yeah.
just like you also said, it's really late. The hype completely died out, even though they had like that Netflix challenge show they did with live.
I was going to say right at the beginning of could have been better, because I think some of these pops are even better than what we had with retro toys for the most part, and like the rest of the set for could have been better.
Yeah, I do think like when you look at retro toys as a whole, the only one I really like is the hippo, whereas this set I like the grail and the royalty. So
next up is Harry Potter Series 1, and this is, I believe, the only set as we're recording this to have 7 redeemables, and this is all based off of, I believe, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire during the Triwizard Tournament. And I think overall, I think Harry Potter at some point was bound to be a Funko NFT. I thought it was going to happen earlier. I thought overall some of these pops are really cool. It wasn't covered with, like, obviously you had like a Harry Potter, but you didn't have like a Ron or Hermione. You got some like characters you haven't seen really many of before, like Cedric Diggory and Fleur Delacour. I think it's at least acceptable. Like, I don't know if it's under legendary, but I think it's at least an acceptable set, and we probably will see multiple series down the line.
There's another one where me and you are a little bit different. With this set, as a Harry Potter fan, I actually really like it. I know it had a pretty good burn on this drop, but the prices speak for itself. I mean, just like Back to the Future, all of them have doubled pretty much since the beginning, because I remember seeing some of these at like the 25-30 range, and now they're in like the 50s. I would put it under Grail or the top of legendary, but I know you have a soft spot for Back to the Future.
I know, and I will put it in front of Funkoween and behind. And this is the reason I'm doing it. Not because obviously I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, but I think out of every set thus far that has not sold out, I believe Back to the Future was the closest to selling out, because if I remember correctly with the numbers, all the premiums sold out, but only 3,000 standards remain.
Yeah, I think you were right.
Next up is the Fantastic Plastic Series 2 set, which of course, yes, Series 2 had redeemables while Series 1 didn't. I thought this was an okay set. I thought it was cool to bring such a obscure IP, especially one that Funko created themselves, into the Funko NFT world, and I'm kind of surprised that this set didn't sell out. For the most part, I think some of the redeemables are all right, but the two highlights for me were the Carl and especially that royalty, which is the best. It could be an acceptable set, but just don't know whether we should put it high up or lower.
Overall, the set wasn't bad. I did the open packs. I do like the Freddy a lot. It's a glow in the dark and it's a fun little mold. Some of these designs are really cool too, but I feel like it's one of those, since it's not an IP related thing and we have so many different IPs in this list and popular ones too, I'll probably have it under like could have been better. I do feel like it's not a burn it set, although a lot of people probably would burn this one right behind Squid Game, because
yeah, I just
don't like the rest of those at all.
Next up is Space Jam Series 1, one of the more recent sets as we're recording this, and I thought overall with redeemables, they had a solid choice of different redeemables. The only one I am questioning about is the Grail of Swackhammer, because it's the exact same mold as the OG one, except you added some Nerdlux with it in Funko Pop form. I hope if they do a Series 2 that they add a couple more of the Monstars into that set.
Yeah, and you know me, I love Looney Tunes. I actually grew up with these films. I actually think this is a really great set. I definitely think it's not a legendary set, but it's an acceptable set, because I don't see anything wrong with any of these redeemables. I know a lot of people are not liking the Freddy Funko, but comparing to something like the Retro Toys Freddy, this one's beautiful. It's awesome. We should put it between Nick 2 and Powerpuff Girls, because I like Nickelodeon 2 better, personally.
Yep, I'm okay with that. And then the final set, the 50th and final set as we're recording this, and as this releases, it'll be right before the drop of this 50th set, Transformers Series 2. I think this is pretty easy. I think it's almost identical to Series 1, to where the legendaries are basically not the same as terms of characters, but equally as good. And I think it's better than Series 1 for the sake of the royalty being metallic this time around, and the fact that the Grail is so much better, not being a gold chrome version of a different character we've already gotten multiple pops of, like we got with Series 1 for Optimus Prime, but this time it's a different version of Starscream. So I think it can go right in front of Series 1 in that legendary category.
So for me, it's a little different, because I really do like the legendaries better in Series 1, but I do like the Grail better in this set. Since you like this one more than Series 1, I'm okay with you putting it before Series 1, but I don't think I'd put it before Halloween.
Yeah,
either Halloween sets.
It's honestly, out of any series that is Series 1 and 2, these are kind of the closest. I compared this in a recent video. Trying to compare this set, in my opinion, for me, was like trying to decide whether I like Toy Story 1 or Toy Story 2 better, because those are kind of almost like a tie of movies.
Equal, yeah.
It's almost equal, but 2 is slightly better for the fact that obviously you have metallic pops, and especially the Grail being much better for Series 2 than it is Series 1. All right, so that is going to be the end of this video. And if you guys enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you agree or disagree. It's obviously not the right list, but it's, I guess, our list, as we would say, because obviously Harry and I would have different opinions also. So definitely let us know your opinions. Hopefully I remember to actually put the link in the description below so that you guys can actually try out this Tiermaker list, and hopefully I'll remember also to add on to it when the new sets get released after this. So thank you for watching today's video, and hope to see you guys on the next one. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.